If you're struggling with endgame fragging and you can't seem to get the refreshes you need, this video is for you. I'm going to be highlighting 11 pro fragging fundamentals that you have to be applying to your gameplay. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, so let's jump straight in. The first fundamental is coordination. I've seen and been in situations where a refresh attempt would have been successful if both teammates were on the same page. In endgame, there's a lot going on, so you and your teammate have to be giving clear comms for every step you take. A very common situation is where your team takes a ball in a duo that's unaware of you, but then you both go for the wide edit instead of one person holding their shotgun out and the other person going for the edit. Miscommunication in a situation like this will almost guarantee you both die early in endgame and miss out on heavy placement points. Coordination is a very important part of becoming a good duo. Letting your teammate know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it is one of the best ways to start learning how to play off each other effectively. The second fundamental is awareness. Awareness is a huge factor for success when it comes to endgame fragging. Constantly looking around your sides and back as a fragger is the best way to find easy refreshes. You have to be able to count on your IGL to keep you guys ahead of zone while you look back and go for attempts on scuffed players fighting in storm or just finding a completely oblivious team to make a play on. Hyper awareness is going to help you create those opportunities you need to stay healthy in endgame. A lot of players are actually too scared to create those refresh opportunities for themselves and end up super scuffed trying to move through the later zones. So don't be afraid to actively look for refreshes. Rapidly getting information on teams and souls around you is going to make it very easy to get the refreshes you need to turn your top 10s into top 3s. The third fundamental is confidence. Confidence is one of the key components of endgame fragging. A few months ago, I noticed myself being super hesitant when it came to jumping in boxes. I would literally be shaking and constantly losing those crucial 50-50s. As a fragger, you have to work on your confidence while you're in the box with someone. 1v1 aim duels in creative is a good way to practice, but the absolute best way to reconstruct that confidence is to actively look to jump in people's boxes whenever you have health advantage. Whether it be in your creative fights or just in-game solo rank fights, you have to desensitize yourself to that fear of jumping in. Removing that hesitation is one of the biggest weights you can lift off yourself as a developing fragger. Hesitation is where game-ending mistakes happen. The fourth fundamental is timing. Timing your refresh attempts is very important. Inexperienced fraggers tend to push really hard for refreshes on teams that are completely aware of what's going on. Once a team is aware of what you're trying to do, you have to be able to recognize it and stop the attempt. For example, drop-down plays are 100% based on timing. If a team boxes up above you and you wait until all their builds are full HP before you try to spray down, it's just not going to work. The drop-down play in that situation wouldn't be the problem stems from the timing. If you immediately start spraying under a team that has fresh, low HP builds, your chance at dropping one down increases tenfold. Timing a refresh properly isn't something that you just magically learn, it stems from a part of your game sense and your development as a player. The fifth fundamental is pressuring. I'm not talking about mid-game fighting pressure, I'm referring to intense endgame pressure from high ground. If your team is able to take height, you have to be constantly pressuring. The only teams that successfully dominate on height are teams that have an aggressive fragger that's able to condition a lobby from height. Conditioning a lobby is making sure that everyone knows that height is a good team. On height, while your IGL is keeping you connected and ahead, you have to be spraying the established teams with a lot of mats. Any team boxed up in hearts is a threat to you as a height team. Being able to apply enough pressure to let them know that height team is a dominant team is crucial. If you get chopped on height, it's extremely hard to recover from since you've invested so many mats to maintain it. As a fragger, it's your job to apply that pressure so you can force teams to waste their mats, heals, and make them give up their positioning. The sixth fundamental is positioning. Making sure you're positioned properly before looking for a refresh during endgame is incredibly important. Forcing a fight on backside zone is the absolute worst possible thing you can do. By the time you finish that fight, you're going to be rotating into all the teams on front side that are looking for a refresh. If you're the last team to rotate in, height is going to be looking back at you, and if you get cracked on that rotate, the closest team to you is just going to full jump on you. While fragging, you have to be mindful of where you are in relation to other players and the next circle. If zone pulls far, you have to wait and go for a refresh after you're done rotating once you get to front side. Fighting on the front side gives you much more time, and you aren't going to be getting focused by as many teams since the majority of players are going to be focused on rotating. The seventh fundamental is late game surge management. In extremely stacked games, surge can pop during zones 9 through 12. As a fragger, you have to be able to commit to getting the tags you need to stay above the threshold. If you end up below on surge, you have to allow your IGL to completely focus on leading the rotate. If you aren't able to get the tags, then your IGL is going to have to stop and pick up what you're slacking. In endgame, the easiest way to get tags is on your rotate. If you have Fizz, you can jump and hip fire other players who are doing the same. If you've been doing your job as a fragger, you should be above the damage threshold in those late zones, but if you need tags, you have to be constantly looking for any opportunity to get back above. Surge takes 25 damage every 5 seconds, and you'll be completely wiped if you aren't able to get above the threshold. The 8th fundamental is responsiveness. Being a responsive fragger is one of the biggest advantages you can give your team. Your IGL is going to be giving you comms, and you have to listen to those comms and respond accordingly. If your IGL sees something that you guys can double spray, no matter what you're doing, you have to be on him and double spray. If he sees a refresh on front side while you're looking back, you have to drop what you're doing and be there to support your IGL. A fragger that doesn't listen is the biggest nerf a team can have. Responding to your teammate allows you guys to always be on the same page and make coordinated team plays that allow you to make more out of every endgame you play. Whether you think it might be a bad play, in endgame there's no time to have an argument and decide who's right or wrong. If your teammate sees a play that you don't, you've got to have enough trust in each other that whatever play you make is going to work. The 9th fundamental is your team's circumstance. Your circumstances refer to your HP and mat count. No matter how stressful or hectic your endgame is, you as a fragger have to be calming what you have and asking your IGL what he needs. Having that information is crucial to making the correct play. If you guys are both 5-5-5 with max heals, jumping in a box with 2 people isn't the right play. You have to play by what you have. If you're low mats, you need to be fighting and playing on low ground. If you're set on mats and heals, you need to be on a decently high layer. If you're trying to make plays and you don't know what each other have, then you risk completely throwing your game. And the worst part is that in a situation like that, it wouldn't even be a skill issue, just a 100% avoidable decisional error. The 10th fundamental is chemistry. Endgame chemistry is a really good skill to have with your teammate. The type of chemistry is going to vary from team to team, but they all develop the same way, through simply scrimming together. Learning how to move through late game with a duo is crucial to having consistent endgames. While you're practicing, trying to focus on staying glued to each other is a really good way to ensure you build good habits that you can apply during your endgames. Chemistry doesn't only come from scrims, but it also comes from 1v1s and any sort of team practice. Learning your teammates' tendencies is a really good way to make sure that you put each other in good situations that you can make the most of. 2 good players make up a good duo, but those 2 players also have to be strong where the other one is weak. The 11th and final fundamental is mistake recovery. As a fragger, you're more likely to make a mistake than your IGL. It's just how it goes. But you have to be able to recover from those mistakes. If you miss your jump and get separated from your IGL, it's your job to recover and find him. You need to have the mechanical ability to move through zone and get back to your teammate. Mistakes are inevitable, but how you handle them is 100% up to you. Whether it's a movement error or a mistake with how you approach the fight, learn how to recover and put yourself back in a good position. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.